Yeah, the first episode, I was in a squeaky chair.
It's awesome.
Dude, and my buddy also was like, you gotta fix that chair. Like, that squeaking is unbearable. And like, you can't hear it. Yeah. And so I'm like sitting still.
Yeah.
Until I start talking. I'm going off.
I've got I got some Skull Candy wireless earbuds that I do sometimes I just do the voiceover of my training, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm sitting what I think is in my quiet house.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just narrating my video. This is what's going on, and I play it back just to listen to make sure it picked up everything. Mm-hmm. And all I hear in the background for like 5 minutes is my old dog. Got wood floors. It does click, 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 click. Trying to find a place to lay down, or he sneezes like 3 times rapid. I'm like, I'm leaving it in, dude. I'm leaving it in.
So you use like Skull Candy to record?
Yeah, and I say I did use my Skull Candies for a while, but because of that, picking up every ambient noise.
So like just like earbuds with like a
earbud
mic?
Not even a.
Oh,
it's just earbuds. So
they work really well.
They pick up pretty well. So I say about right now about the half my content I'm using those, but I have to go get in the Jeep, sit in there like no kids bugging me, whatever. It's got to be a super quiet place, no dogs.
Sure.
And when I'm in there, I'm like, well, it's just as easy to just hold the phone, and my phone picks up really well. So I haven't used those in the last. I haven't used my earbuds in the last 4 or 5 videos.
Yeah. And
now it's just me just talking on my phone.
When I started using these little things, I was like, oh, it's a game changer. I don't necessarily hate my voice on it anymore.
Yeah.
It's a lot closer to what I actually sound like. But maybe I'm just getting used to it because I'm putting out more content.
Yeah.
Until I didn't. But that's what we're doing this.
I would say that's kind of a thing, right? Like, but I think smartphones have come so far in that, like, they're recording your voice like you're talking, like I'm calling you on the phone.
Right.
Which is, and it's pretty good, pretty deep as it needs to be, like picking up all the different pitches and tones and everything, and a little bit of sound deadening for picking up like the background.
That's the ambient was
exactly. It does a terrible job when I'm driving. If I'm driving and trying to talk to my phone,
they can't figure.
I'll pay that back, and I just hear the drone.
They can't figure that out. That sound is.
It's a stable noise. So.
Yeah.
I haven't tried it on an airplane yet. I imagine it's terrible. Just hearing somebody smack their gum right behind me or something. I don't know. Something I can't hear, but they can hear.
So, give us a little rundown of who you are, how long you've been throwing.
For those of you who don't know, I'm Danny Autrey. First time on what's the name of the podcast?
9 Point Day.
9 Point Day.
Yeah, so it's a pretty good name. I didn't come up with it. The guys in Colorado won't know what this is because theirs would be like 7,252 point day because of the decathlon scoring.
Yeah, okay. I get that. Yeah. That makes sense.
But for all us,
I'm not real smart, but it totally makes sense now.
Yeah, for the plebs out there, 9 Point Day.
9 Point Day. That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Been a professional thrower for the last 2 seasons. This is my first full season. Started as an AM last year. Went pro, pretty close to the same track as you.
Yeah, pretty much.
By the end of the year, we were both throwing pro. And I've been throwing for, gosh, I mean, we'll tell the long story since this is a podcast, but I've been throwing for 16 years.
It's a long time.
Yeah. 2008 was the first time I ever picked up a Highland Games implement. I knew about it, like everybody kind of.
And when did that? You started in Alaska.
I started in Alaska. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
It was Father's Day 2008. I was hiking with a friend of mine from high school, and we got run off the trail by a brown bear.
Very Alaska.
Yeah, Mama brown bear chased us out. Well, we had seen some signs before, but like we'd seen some signs of a sow brown bear with a cub in a creek bed that we had crossed across, and then we're probably 4 miles down this trail. Start hiking up the trail, and start hearing some crashing through the alders along the side of the trail. I know what that is. I saw the hump of the brown bear just coming through the woods. She turns on the trail, and she had the high ground. And I don't know, maybe everybody knows. They got the high ground there.
Yeah.
That's a bear. They got the low ground, the high ground. What does it matter? They got you.
It's a bear, boy.
They got you.
Yeah.
And she charged us. Got within about 25 feet of me, stood up, started sniffing the air. I'm an idiot, and I let off a warning blast on my double barrel 12 gauge. Yeah, if you do the math on that, it left me with one more bullet.
I mean, hey, that might be all you need.
Maybe.
Probably not, but
yeah. So I told my friend, I told her, I stood there and kind of, made myself big like you're supposed to do. And I told her, like, go back down the trail. And she took off. And she was gone. Which is not what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to run away from a ground bear.
You're supposed to shit your pants, right? Sorry,
yeah.
poop your pants.
Yeah.
I've been told something like that.
Language.
Yeah.
Language, Jacob.
Watch the profanity.
Yes. No, you're like, it depends. Brown bears will chase you for a lot of reasons. In this case, it was a mama bear defending her cub. So there's that's a lose-lose situation. You're not going to win the fight if you try to fight it, but you're supposed to back out of that slowly if you can, get away from the cub. So anyway, she took off, and then I stood there for a minute. Eventually, she went back down on all fours, turned around, looked back at me one more time, let out a snort, and ambled off into the woods. And I said, "We're not finishing this hike," so took off. And we got done with the hike, so now we're like, "Oh yeah, we got an extra couple hours to click kill." And she said, "You want to come to a Father's Day barbecue?" My dad's out there with his friends, and they're doing this Highland Games thing. I don't know, sure. And then picked it up. For those of you watching, you've ever heard of, he's kind of legendary in the Pacific Northwest in Alaska, Brett McDonald. That was who it was. Taught me how to throw. I kind of, a little bit of a high school throwing background, and then I did just well enough for myself to think, hey, I'm kind of good at this.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a thing I want to do now.
Yeah.
And wasn't able to compete that year. Competed the next 2 years. Had a knee injury. Got married. Started a new career. And then basically about a 5-year gap after that, from 2011 until 2016. Then the World Championships came to Alaska. The IHGF World's Pro Championship came. It was a great opportunity to kind of get back in. At that point, I was in 2016. Every person interested in Highland Games, what you're doing, I was watching Matt Vincent on the YouTubes.
That's what I did.
Yeah,
that's what everyone does.
Yep. And I was like, man, this is a great opportunity to meet this guy and kind of get myself back into the sport. So I did that. Doing 2016, I won't say I was right where I left off, but I was pretty close to back onto that level.
Yeah.
And then
I never fully lose it.
Right.
It's always kind of there.
But my mindset had changed. I was like, no, this is a thing that I want to do. I was kind of past I was kind of past my I was competing in those 5 years that I wasn't throwing. I was competing in powerlifting, strongman. And I was kind of past that, right? I got to the point where I was like, man, I'm not competitive enough in the strongman. You got to be to the level that I wanted to be. It was so much work, and if you're in the strongman game, you kind of know it. There's local strongman, and you can be strong, man, but national level lifter is a totally different game. Same with powerlifting. And I was like, no, I'm going to do this thing. Did that, dabbled around, just trying to figure it out on my own, watching Matt Vincent, watching Dan McKim, and watching whatever resource I could get on. And in 2019, I did a clinic with John Oden. He came up to Alaska, and it wasn't long after that, he kind of adopted me. He kind of
just
like he sent me his price for personalized coaching at one point, and I was like, and it's pretty steep, but anybody out there listening, it's worth it. Like, you got the extra change.
He's got a wealth of knowledge.
He's wealth of knowledge. He's very articulate. He's going to say a lot of words, and you might not use all of those words, but he gives them all to you, right? And so that's kind of how it is. He'll flood you with knowledge, and it's like, spraying somebody with a fire hose just because they're thirsty. You're going to get some water in there, right?
Drink, yeah.
You probably get blasted and overwhelmed, but you're going to get a drink, right? And so he knows so much about just overall fitness and health and throwing and how it all relates and ties in that they was like, man, his prices are pretty good. But I wasn't at a point here with a young family that I was quite ready. Then in 2020, he invited me to a clinic, and then after that, it was like, it was his immersive clinic in his compound. And it makes him sound like a cult leader, but yes.
I would call it a compound.
Yeah,
too.
his compound.
It's very cool.
It's a super cool compound. No weird stuff happens there.
Highland Games, a little weird.
And then he just started kind of adopted me. He started sponsoring me as an athlete. We developed a relationship of some one-on-one coaching, and
I kind of poured into you.
He did. He put a lot of effort and a lot of knowledge into me, and then made me go from that point. I kept throwing through COVID, kept putting in the effort, and then, yeah, like I said, 2023, first pro season. Was a little off of my timeline that I expected. I told my wife in 2019 or 2016, I said I'm going to be a pro in 5 years, and it was a little off.
COVID year.
We blame COVID, right?
Yeah.
You know we blame COVID.
Everyone knows it.
Yeah. And so, yeah, and here I am. Now I'm throwing whatever.
I remember you told me that was it last year that you're like your timeline's a little off. And I was like, I need to set a timeline. I rushed my timeline. I jumped ahead.
Yeah. It's sometimes you gotta strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah,
right?
dude. If not now, then when?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the thing about the pro class is you got these illusions of like when you want to do it. And, sometimes things match up and line up. And, I mean, you don't necessarily know when it's too early.
Right.
You just take the advice of other pros and kind of look at the landscape of things.
You can definitely find out when it's too late.
Sure.
And you don't want to find that out.
Right. Yeah, who knows? I mean, I would say I would classify my overall season this year as kind of a sophomore slump in a lot of ways. Not that my numbers have been terrible. It's just there's been the rate of my progress slowed.
Right.
And I expected to still be getting some more.
So the way I look at it is because like this is like your first full season as a professional.
Yeah.
When I was moved to lightweight class, I dropped like 40 pounds. So I was like living things differently. Life was different. I was eating differently. I had to learn how to throw in that class, and throw the 42 and things like that. The first year I did okay, and it wasn't like great. But the year 2 is when I really started to pick it up. So like I always like look at it like, oh, it's a 2-year cycle. Year 1, you're kind of getting catching the reins, and then year 2 is when you like really like put the burners on.
Yeah, and there's something
things start to change.
And there's something to be said about, and I know that going from high, I think for 2 or 3 seasons in a row I was top 10 AMA, like at NASCA, 2 or 3, and then I stayed in the. I don't think I fell out of the top 5 last year at all. Maybe I don't pay that much stock to the NASCA rankings, but yeah.
I have a computer here that was supposed to have NASCA or heavy athlete pulled up, but Wi-Fi in the hotel is very confusing for me because of technology. So I'm just looking at it like one of these days
we'll get some live.
Yeah, I need a Jamie
stats.
Jamie, pull that up. Fact check him.
Yeah.
How long was he in top 5?
Yeah. So I felt like I was hanging around the top of the amateur class.
Yeah.
And there's a sharp difference between coming into an amateur competition where people are looking at you like you're the guy that's going to win.
Yeah.
It's yours to lose. Sure. And I'm not trying to brag up myself or anything, but there was definitely those like I came into classes in Pleasanton in 2022, Minnesota Amateur Worlds with you. Like I had high expectations for myself, and I think other people who like followed the sport also looked and said like, we talked a little bit before we started airing, like kind of size up your competition before you get there.
Yeah.
When you're at that level of like who's showing up, like I'm not shying away because of who shows up. But once I find out who's going to be there, I'm like, hey, I gotta be on my game if I even expect a podium. So I don't, like I said, no, that didn't feel like a guarantee, but it was just that next like I've got to prove myself right, like that was meant to be here, and I got to prove these other people that are watching me expecting me to be some all-star, like showing up and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm doing a class with Danny Autrey, who's at the top of the NASCA rankings a couple years in a row, like, and
you got to be that guy.
I got to be that guy, and then I show up on it. I don't understand like my life. I often say it, my life is better than I deserve sometimes. Because in my first Highland Games season as a pro, get invited to Enumclaw and Pleasanton.
Yeah.
And that's just
better than you deserve.
Better than I deserve, right? Those are
very cool.
For those of you that don't know, definitely the top West Coast games and arguably the most prestigious games in the country. I mean, they're long-standing.
Yep.
They pay well. I'm going to compete. Every time I go to those, I'm going to compete against the very best in the world. And not as much pressure on me, almost.
Yeah.
Like I have my own internal like, I need to get here, but I need to do well here. I need to prove that I deserve this spot.
Yeah, you earned that spot.
Yeah, that I took from somebody else.
You're going to hold
sure.
it down.
Yes, I need to hold it down, and it's just a different feeling. On top of that, when I'm getting invited to competitions like that, you don't get very many opportunities for extra throws. And we all know that when you get an extra, 3 extra throws on the thing, you could push them out there a little bit further. You have that's double the amount of throws that you normally get.
Yeah.
So, de-stress and now just really let it, just try to let one go. And so, as a result of that, like your season bests start to look different because you just, factually, you have fewer throws to get those in.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so, I get, and to that point of being my sophomore slump, it's a lot because of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just don't have those opportunities so much. But I'd say maybe my points, I guess if you just looked at it from a just black and white point of view, my points aren't that far off from what they were last year. So,
yeah.
nasty points.
Yeah. But we all have like
or heavy athlete points or whatever people. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who's the points guys?
I mean, they're pretty much the same.
Yeah.
But that's very cool. So you live in Alaska. That is very unique.
Yeah.
Because you're down here in the 48.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's it like living in Alaska? Like training wise, because you have a weird season and it's cold there now. Today was like 87 degrees here in Mississippi.
Yep, 87, and it was probably today. There's a little bit of a winter storm. I think one of our first winter storms blowing in up there, so it's high 30s, I think, and windy. Like, the level of wind knocking trees over and taking power out.
The wind is no joke up there.
Yeah, and so it legitimately is feeling cold up there now, and much of the state's already experienced the first snowfall. I think we're due any day now for our first snowfall of the year. 50-50 whether it sticks around or not.
Right. So when winter comes, what are you doing differently, like training wise?
So I try to still. Well, this year's going to be a little different. October is generally the end of my season.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was when I was an amateur or now that I'm a pro, like this is kind of programmed to be the end of my season. And at the advice of my coach John, it's a good time no matter how much you want to go look at your videos from the day and then go start working and tweaking on things. It's not the time. It's the end of your season to treat it like that. Just step away. Don't touch them. Mm-hmm. Put them away.
Take that rest.
Don't think about them. Right? Because, well, that's pretty easy to do where I'm at because it's now snow on the ground, so it's not conducive to throwing. A little different this year because I got middle of January. We got my first invite.
Do you get like snowpack through like all of winter? Like there's just snow on the ground.
So by Halloween, normally we're taking the kids to go trick or treating in the snow.
Okay.
Generally speaking, the snow has came and it has stayed. There's always like anywhere in the world that has winter. There's always those first couple of snowfalls that don't amount to anything. Like they melt almost as soon as they hit on the ground, or it gets up to 36 degrees and it rains on top of that and it washes it all away. But by the end of October, early November, it'd be weird that we didn't have at least a couple inches accumulated on the ground. Yeah. And then from there, that's it. I mean, like we really don't go without snow until May.
Yeah. So for me, in like my off season, like if there's snow on the ground, I'm probably not going to throw because like in Kansas, like it doesn't get. I mean, you have like 0 days and like negative days, but like that's like beginning of February kind of stuff, like end of January. But like in between like the off season, the early season, anytime there's not snow on the ground, like I will be throwing. I will find a way to like stay warm in the process where I can get reps in. So
So I mean, you've seen my gym on YouTube.
Yes,
it is now my gym.
Yeah, we'll get to that because I want to talk to you about your gym. I do adore it. It is very much like that's my style. Yeah. Like it's kind of set up how I like.
So the walls of that gym are built. The guy who owns the property, when we moved into that gym, he expressed our concerns like, hey, it's going to be a gym. It's going to be some rough service in here. He's like, what do you need? He's like, just make sure the walls are solid enough to slam balls or whatever. It's just not going to break by dropping a 45-pound plate and falling against it or whatever. You're not going to crush holes in it.
Using OSB to line the walls.
Yeah, he fortified that place. I mean, if y'all go to my YouTube channel, you'll see, just search YouTube Alaska Strong or Danny Autrey, either one you can see. You can try to scroll through and find some videos where I throw a Cerberus strongman bag into the wall. And I'm telling you, like a 50-pound bag thrown, I won't say 100% because I can't quite get that speed.
Yeah.
But I'm throwing that thing with some considerable force into it, and it is
a good strong finish at that wall.
It is solid. Like there's no distortion. And I aim kind of for a stud, but there's no distortion. I'm not cracking boards. I'm not doing anything. So that's how I would say we moved into that place in 2020. And there was a significant turning point in the quality of some of my throws, at least early season.
Yeah.
Where I could come in and like I've been through the motions. Nothing's going to replace a full throw. Nothing's going to replace like getting out on the grass and doing the thing. But to be able to all year round, whenever I want to go do a drill, I can just go grab the sandbag and do some drills.
Yeah. When it comes time, you can piece those drills together pretty easily.
I can.
You've done them. And
you can. It's not just like picking up the weight for the first time in 6 months.
Yeah.
Because like I said, my off season can truly be from mid-October until May.
How do you
pretty quick?
How do you feel about that Cerberus bag? Like, does it feel close to like what a 56 would feel like? Is the handle like right?
You're more connected to it than a lot of like 56. There's less.
It's like a real short chain 56.
Yeah. Okay. More like if you were throwing. Yeah, if you're throwing your wog. Yeah. If you're throwing your wog for distance, yeah, you're a lot more connected to it because there's no link that can get bell swing on it at all.
Yeah.
So it's a solid training tool for sure, and I would say it's a solid off-season training tool because it's different. So it's just different, and your body's responding to something a little bit different, but it's close enough that your footwork can be the same. The only thing that's a little bit different is going to be your timing, right? Because that's the main difference between doing short chain work and regular log or regular weight for distance is just the timing of how you apply your force for the next step. So.
And every weight's kind of different too.
Yeah.
So nothing's really ever perfect.
So you can see my weights kind of stay pretty consistent. Like I'm not going to come in on my first games of a season and throw like 59 feet or something on a lightweight. I'm going to still be able to throw.
Yeah.
Like I still got shot at 70. If you pulled me out of Alaska in February,
right,
I'm still going to have a pretty shot at 70 feet without having that little. And it's all because of being able to do drills.
Yeah, it's just keeping you warm enough to be able to do what you need to.
Yep. And then on top of that, hammer swings. Anybody can do hammer swings indoors. So
yeah,
I mean, I say anybody. Like you might have a weird tiny. Your garage is too low, probably.
Way too low. I got a bigger one coming, so
yeah,
might be able to bust it out.
So, and that's something I always suggest to newer throwers. Say, go do hammer lines. You can't replace the release, and I know that for sure. I thought I was doing great. I had a lot of volume of hammer lines in between 21 and 22. Opened my season in February of 22 in Northeast Florida. And I was like, man, I feel good. My hammer's going to be good. And it was like I could wind perfectly. I just had no release.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, there's nothing there. And missing 15 feet on the throw because of it.
Yeah.
So, but you can do the winds. And those winds are, I'd say, for most novice to intermediate throwers, you need to wind better. You need to have better winds.
Yeah. You need to be able to like really just push your hips through at the right time.
Yep.
Yeah. Feel it.
Yeah, getting a separation between between your hips and the ball.
Kind of like I see a lot of people catching their high point, kind of like hip height, and that's when they're really starting to accelerate on it. And just practicing winds without releases can help you find that high point.
Yeah, breaking it down in a smaller piece, right? Like we need to take the throws and break them down into bite-sized chunks so you can work on.
Yeah.
This segment, get that down, and then now do a different thing, and then tie them together.
Every sport has broken it down piece by piece since the dawn of time.
Sure. Other than that, like I take as many opportunities I can throw indoors. I'm going to buy a soft shell indoor shot this year. I've been meaning to do it for a long time. I'm going to get one this year because my stones are. I won stones today.
Yeah.
But hey, it's who showed up, and I just happened to be the best stone thrower that showed up today. But my stones will hold me in a little bit a lot of times, but I mean, I'd say I'm probably a 38-foot Braemar, maybe a 40-foot if it's a nice
field,
really
nice
nice
stone.
stone.
Yeah.
And then I'm a high 40s on a good day open stone, and 45 is kind of my mark that I'm like, I need to be there. Mm-hmm. And that's a mid-level pro, but I don't ever practice it. So you can't be mad about the results that you didn't get for not, that you didn't try to get.
Yeah.
So
you've earned that mark.
Yeah. So if I get a nice stone I can train with indoors, I can take the number of reps that I do on stone and add 200 in an off season or 200 in a season and that's going to make me that much of a better thrower. So
sure.
And then lifting wise, I like off season. I generally when I start put the flag in the off season, I'll pick something that I want to kind of push.
Yeah.
And just because I like lifting heavy. That's really all it comes down to is I like lifting heavy. So once I get my little break for a couple of weeks, I'll start to get the itch to lift something heavy again. And maybe I'll say, okay, let's see if I can make a 6-week run at a good deadlift. And so maybe it's something that doesn't take away, that doesn't have this effect of making me slower or less mobile or whatever. Mm-hmm. Do it for a short enough amount of time. Hey, maybe let's see if I can deadlift 675 again.
Yeah.
Let's do a 6-week, 8-week plan to do that. And let's see what happens.
Are you doing more like conjugate or like linear progression?
I would more linear progression.
Yeah.
I'll do the classic start with a little bit higher reps and then move the reps down. Just that classic pyramid style.
Yeah. That's really simple to program.
Mm-hmm.
I do very similar stuff to that.
And it's a good way to kind of protect yourself from hurting yourself.
You can load submaximally very efficiently and
and you can build that specific condition that you need.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into my off season not having deadlifted more than can't remember the last time I even put more than 495 on the bar, honestly. And then think within 6 weeks of my off season starting, or within a couple of weeks of my off season starting to try to do something conjugate or something.
Yeah.
And I'm going for a single where do I think I have the strength to pull 625, 635 right now? Yeah. Do I think that I'm going to feel real good about it without having conditioned myself to do that? No. I'm probably going to tweak a QL or just some goofy something's going to happen.
Something's going to happen. It's going to slow you down for a little bit.
Versus if I start with fives. If I do 3 or 5 sets of 5.
You do your starting strength, do your 5s.
Yeah, exactly. Something along those lines. I'm gonna start building up those little muscles to withstand the movement, and then add weight. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of my target. Is just hey, what's something that I like doing that lends itself towards the sport, but also at the end of the day, the primary concern is am I going to enjoy this?
Yeah.
What can I do?
Yeah, you got to live with yourself.
Yeah. I enjoy lifting. I really do enjoy lifting. It's not. I don't enjoy lifting because it makes me better at highlight games. I enjoy lifting.
Yeah. We found a thing that we like. Being strong.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I think everyone shares that.
Yeah.
Really, probably everyone who listens to this feels like that. But you mentioned deadlifts, right? Mm-hmm. How do you feel like deadlifts are useful for the highlight games?
I go back and forth on that.
Okay, I do too. Okay.
I go back
That's
and forth
what I'm asking.
And I want.
Tell me what to think.
I'm not going to be the guy that tells you what to think.
Yeah.
I was just kind of having this conversation, or maybe I was listening to somebody talk about. Was it Justin? Justin, fact check. Were you talking about deadlifts?
Call in.
Yeah, call in. Obviously, I thought the strength that you build with deadlift was very much applicable to the sport. And then, of course, I started getting coached by John. And John has, when he was a professional thrower, he never deadlifted over 500 pounds. 500 pound deadlift for him was a very good deadlift.
Yeah, sure.
And he threw at a lower body weight than most pros. He threw the 56, 43 feet, 42, 43 feet. Mm-hmm. He threw the lightweight over 80 feet.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
But I deadlift 200 pounds more than John.
Yeah.
So do I need the deadlift?
Yeah.
Probably not.
I think,
all right, does a thrower need the deadlift?
Yeah.
would I tell any old thrower, like, get your deadlift up to 700 pounds? That's what you need. No. But I threw WOP better when I was deadlift strong.
Yeah.
And I've been suffering on WOP since I kind of took deadlifting out of my program.
Yeah. So that's kind of where, like, velocity-based training comes in. Like, if you, like, pull deadlift as heavy as you can, but, like, it's got to meet, like, these parameters, and that's fast. I mean, and fast relative to weight, too. Like, if you're pulling 700, but, like, you're grinding it, like, that's probably not going to help.
Probably not helping with a whole lot of throws.
Yeah. But, like, if you're getting, like, I don't know, like 2 meters per second or whatever, or I have, like, dyscalculia and, like, dyslexia pretty bad.
Yeah.
Like, I say numbers and it's like, I don't know, it's spinning around in my head. But I think it needs to be fast, even at a load, but relative to the weight.
And that's my normal trainings, like in season, normal. I say not deep off season, not beginning of off season. My normal philosophy is heavy, fast.
Yeah.
Lift heavy as long as it's fast. And fast is relative, right? We can all agree that fast is relative. I'm not saying lift a 495-pound deadlift like you're going to clean it.
Yeah.
But it needs to be fast for your deadlift. It needs to move. There'd be some bar whip going on. Like,
yep.
It needs to go.
That violent hip extension to the top.
Exactly.
Yep.
I treat all of my main compound lifts exactly like that. It's, if I'm bench pressing, I go up, and I usually have some sort of contrasting. Like, that's kind of where it's incorporating, like, some of the West Side methodology in. I'm going to throw a band or chain in there or something. I even messed around with weight releasers this
I saw that. Those are cool.
Yeah, they're pretty fun. They're fun. They're fun to mess with, but they're a lot to set up.
It's a tool. It's a little tool to have.
Yeah, it's a lot. Like, when you're alone in the gym, it's like, man, that just made that workout take twice as long as it needed to take.
We're just benching it today, apparently.
Yeah. Which is fine on a day off, but, like, I'm trying to get in there and out of there in an hour.
That's to do.
Because I have to throw a limit on myself during the season, so I have to, like, tell myself, you're only in here for an hour, mister.
Right.
Come here when I walk in. And but I throw in those things, and I go until, like, I don't have a prescribed weight necessarily. I have an idea of what I'm going to lift that day.
Yeah.
And so maybe I'm doing the green band, and I'm gonna, do all my warm up, mumbo jumbo, get ready, get in the bench, hit the bar, because I always start with the bar. Plate, a set, bands, a set, add weight, set, and then I'll go up and, like, okay, I'm not 275. I don't know. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
315. Do a set. Nah, too slow. Let's go back down 275. That weight doesn't matter, but it still needs to be heavy enough to get the good stimulus.
Right.
But it's got to be fast.
Yeah.
And so
above 85% fast.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's how I train most of the time. There is going to be a little bit of room, again, deep off season, for you to just mess around and say, hey, I just want to see how much I can squat.
Yeah.
Just don't hurt yourself. Don't. Yeah. If it's taken away from the thing, then it's not the thing that you need to do. Right. You get a long-term, like, bulging disc.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can kiss the next season goodbye, once you get a back problem. It's like,
and then
I got 12 weeks of recovery.
Then you got to baby it because it's going to come back.
Yeah.
You're
worried about that all the time. I mean, one of the guys on the field with us today had a bulging disc problem a while back, and he's like, it's not. It's better, but is it better? I don't know.
Right.
And I've known of many people that have backs just flare up, and I'm like, I don't want to be that guy because it takes away from the thing that I like doing.
Yeah. So what are your injuries? What's ailing you these days?
Well, 38 years old, which is kind of an injury. Like, what's ailing me these days? In 2011, I mentioned I got injured. I was playing rugby, and we were just doing rugby practice. And that's something I still do, by the way, which much to the chagrin of my coach. Rugby at the same time as Highland games is a compliment very much.
Sure, John loves
it. It's not a great compliment. He warns against it, but hey, I have this theory that once you stop doing contact sports, that's when you get old.
Okay.
Yeah. Not logical at all.
There's a segment on the show we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah.
I'm going to fucking love it.
Yeah. So in 2011, we were just slow speed tackling drills, and my right foot stayed planted as I rotated the hip, and I tore meniscus in my right knee. 6 months later, I had surgery, and it's never been the same since. I've always, I handled rehab all by myself on it, and for the most part, like I
sense a cold front coming in when you're
not quite that bad, not quite that bad, but it's definitely getting to the point where I know like this thing has holding me back. Last year I fought it the whole season.
Yeah.
Had a lot of work done on it. Got a fantastic provider. MJ Farr in Anchorage, Alaska, is phenomenal provider. She worked on you probably a little bit, or maybe
no.
But she was there for the around for the people.
Yeah, my back was torn up in Alaska, and everyone's like, "Go talk to MJ." I'm like, "I will." I just never did.
Yeah.
I'm like, "I'm going to tough it out."
So she's a doctor,
like a dummy.
Doctor of physical therapy. She does dry needling, the stems, and everything like that. So she kept me online as good as I could be on this knee. Because like when this knee flares up, I'd start shutting down.
Oh yeah.
And then I got no drive off of my strong leg, my dominant leg, and it's a mess. So it's something that I have to constantly be aware of, stay on top of. I'm doing knee rehab all of the time. Like if you watch my channel, I don't include it all the time because that stuff gets kind of boring and it starts making the videos longer. And I know y'all don't want to sit and watch 10 minutes of video of me doing the same old stupid thing I do all the time. Some people do.
You don't know me.
Some people appreciate that, but even for myself when I'm making the videos, because I make the video enough as much for myself as I do for anybody, that I'm just not going to constantly include that same
and doing
sissy squats.
They're doing voiceover for the same thing over and over. You're like, no,
yeah.
If you saw it last week,
I should just program just drag that audio on.
Yeah.
This is me doing the same stupid thing I did last week. But yeah, I try to do a bunch of stuff.
It's very smart
to keep this situation on my right knee, right quad, from getting as bad as it did last year. I mean, live and learn, right?
Mm-hmm. I
neglected it, and it bit me. And it could have been way worse if I didn't have a great provider fixing it for me. And through using those tools, I remembered, okay, learn my lesson, stay on top of this thing. So that's like the main, just constant, it's a backdrop of my makeup as an athlete, always. Lately, left shoulder, like just getting this full external rotation in overhead, which looks a lot like where you release a hammer.
Yeah.
Right? When that thing flares up, whatever's going on with it, I don't really know. When it flares up, I have a really hard time getting a good release position up here. And it also affects me because whenever when I'm on my way for distance, I try to really swing that arm up like that to finish. And when you're doing it in that flash of an instant, and you feel a little bit of a discomfort, your body naturally aborts and throws it down.
And you kind of back off of it.
Yeah. And so the left shoulder kind of, it does. I would say that was probably a pretty low level. When that gets really in the finesse of things, right? And then my right hip, that was another one. This year, my right hip, I think I got I see something on WebMD or see one of my friends has something, and I'm like, yeah, that's me too. I'm gonna die.
Yeah, I'm already dead.
But what I think is I got some impingements, the femoroacetabular impingement syndrome.
Some that you know that.
Well, Sarah Colin had it, and she had surgery and so cool. Friends have bad things happen to them. Guess what they get? Rehab. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, you're doing that? Maybe I'll try that. And then Adrienne Wilson does. She posts a lot of hip distraction, a lot of just hip therapy stuff, and I just pepper those in my training. And it's been keeping this thing at bay. I was in June, July of this year. I was like, this right hip is bad. Yeah. I was limping. Dragging my right leg behind me. Sometimes it felt like I didn't get any rotation. And if you're a thrower, you're a right-handed thrower, your right hip has to rotate.
You got to spin that thing.
It's got to rotate. And I was having some bad pain with it, and it would flare up, and it was uncomfortable at rest, which is not what I want to be. I want to be a good thrower, but I don't want to hurt a lot when I'm just sitting around.
Yeah.
So that's probably been the number one thing in the early half of my season. But again, thankfully I have friends who go out and get hurt for me. Yeah. And I get to learn from them. And where I was at the point in June or July, I was at the point where I need to start getting a consult for surgery. Yeah. And I'm ready to just do it. Mm-hmm. To now I'm I don't know if the smart thing is to keep doing rehab, and hopefully it doesn't bite me again.
Yeah.
But we all know that surgery has its own risk of other things, some inflammations that's a result of the only result of surgery. Like this surgery on this knee, although it was necessary, I know when they went in, they nicked a nerve, and this right VMO never came back the same as the left. It's always been smaller. It atrophied a little bit, not like ridiculous small,
but you notice it.
But if it atrophied, that means it lost work capacity. And if it lost work capacity, then it lost power output.
Yeah.
So it could be worse than a hip.
Yeah.
I don't know. They'll lose that ability to have that full flexion. So
yeah. I'm worried about getting an injury where I'm going to have to get surgery because my wife will have to drag me in there to get it done because I won't.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of the doctor. I guess. I don't like saying that, but maybe I am.
Yeah. It's definitely not that with me, but
you're tougher.
It's always this game of the risk versus benefits,
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the surgeon will tell you they can fix you, but what if they
are human and humans lie?
Yeah, what if the human body is tricky, man?
Yeah. We don't understand it really. We think
right.
We're learning all kinds of stuff.
And I just if I don't need it.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly inclined to get it. So, I don't know. But those are my injuries. Those are my main things holding me back. And hey, they're pretty low level compared to some of my friends.
Right.
I try to take care of it. I don't think it's all out of fluke. Sometimes I feel like I'm 75% rehab warm up and 25% lifting in the gym, and that's no joke. I can go into the gym for an hour, and 45 minutes of it is doing some sort of therapy, warming up, or walking, or doing some weird band distraction stuff. And I'll hit one main lift and be like, "That's it."
That's really that's not that uncommon with people really pushing the high end of things. Because if you just want to ride the middle of the amateur class, you're probably not going to sustain these injuries.
Right.
When you're having to push and reach for every little inch on every throw, it'll catch up to you.
Yeah, for sure.
So this brings me to my favorite segment of the show. It's the bro nerd spectrum. Are you familiar with the bro nerd spectrum?
No.
Okay, so in Highland Games, there are two types of people. There are bros and there are nerds. And there's no in between. And the in between is it's a spectrum, right? So for me, as an example, I think we determined 70% nerd, 30% bro.
Okay.
And that's because I got strong opinions on the sci-fi and the fantasy stuff in my life, and I read a lot of fantasy books and sci-fi, things like that. And I'm really weird about a lot of things.
I've witnessed this.
Yeah, dude.
First-hand knowledge of this.
Yeah.
We're talking about giant rats or something in the Paleolithic era or something.
Oh, yeah, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
I know a lot about dinosaurs.
Yeah.
They're mostly large mammals in North America, and that's where a lot of cool
cave
stuff
bears
happens.
and whatnot.
Yeah, cave bears, short-faced bears, the giant sloth, saber-toothed cat, North American lion, North American cheetah, things like that.
Yeah.
Very cool. They're all extinct, guys. Don't fear. Don't go in the jungle and be worried about it.
Well, it's not chased
Or
by
the
a short-faced bear.
Or the savannah. The short-faced bear is a giant. Yeah. Very cool. See, this is the 70%. Guys, this is 70%. Okay. And the 30% for me is I don't know. I've done some bodybuilding. Straight, I'm I want to get jacked and look good and things like that. And just little bro-y type things.
Yeah.
So, got a couple questions. Do you have a favorite sci-fi or fantasy kind of story?
I kind of feel like where I'm going to end up going. Just to preface this, I'd say I'm kind of nerdy.
Okay.
But not that type of nerdy. If this is where this is going, because I don't really say that I have a sci-fi preference.
Okay. Have you seen like Harry Potter and things like that?
Yes.
Have you read the books?
I was probably one of the first to read the books.
All of them?
No, I feel like I read 3. This is I don't know, when did they come out?
Late 90s.
Late 90s.
Or mid 90s to late.
So I remember middle school, living in a small reservation town in Idaho called Lapway.
Okay.
And some hey, we can pick a book. I don't remember if it was assigned reading initially. And the first 3 Harry Potter books came out. And initially, it was like, oh, okay. Well, I think it was assigned. I think the first one was assigned.
Yeah.
And I've always been like a rapid reader. I could read fast, and I really dive in, and it's like just a page turner, you know?
Yeah.
Like just read. And then I remember like in the course of time that we were supposed to read the one Harry Potter, I read 3 of them.
Perfect.
You know, just blasted right through them, and it was cool. I said it's great. You know? It was interesting at that time.
So,
but I don't remember much.
What do you think makes you nerdy?
I think nerd in the fitness. We'll call it a fitness realm, even though it's like mostly strength, right? In the strength world, because when I decided in 2007, when I found out about powerlifting, I went all in, and I was watching in 2007. It doesn't seem like that long ago to me because I'm kind of old now, and that's how those things go.
Yeah.
But the resources just weren't there like they are now. So I'm looking at a DVD collection of the Elite FTS seminars.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I got that collection I ordered. I read. I was diving in on the Elite FTS Q&As, going in and looking at all the Westside training videos that I could find. Just really going in and consuming a whole lot of it. So I got really nerdy about this. I get like kind of dive deep into the things that I really care about. Yeah. That I really like.
Really like obsessive, and you gotta understand it if you're gonna be doing it.
Yeah.
Okay. And I get that.
And just like not only what to do, but why to do it, and then why did it work, and why might it not work for me, or what can I do instead? On that end of things, and that's kind of where I've kind of gravitated towards since I started lifting. I started lifting really as an adult in 2007.
Sure. Have you ever worked as a bouncer?
Thought about it.
Okay.
I was told not to do it.
It's probably smart.
By bouncers. Exactly. They're like, yeah, you don't do that.
Yeah. Okay. So no bouncing. What podcast do you listen to the most?
Gonna be a toss up between Theo Vaughn.
Okay.
This past weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jocko.
Okay.
And what is the other one usually on? Is it a podcast? Dan Carlin's Hardcore History.
Yeah, you call it a podcast.
Yeah, we'll call that a podcast.
Yeah.
I got a lot of.
But it's more than that.
I've got a lot of hours into that thing, right? I am captivated.
Yes. Okay, that's.
But I'd say.
Boy, that's a mix. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
For the spectrum,
Diverse.
that's a mix. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, man,
Jocko. In my personal life, I appreciate good leadership.
Sure.
Leading my family, leading kids, leading people that I come into contact with. Mm-hmm. My professional life, I am in a leadership role.
Sure.
And I'm always trying to be better.
It is, yeah.
So that's
very useful podcast.
Drawing into like Jocko and his teachings and his, and his stuff.
Yeah. So we've been working on like questions, and I don't have them written down. I'm spacing on them, but like kind of hit a lot. Oh, bodybuilding. Have you? I asked you about that. How long have you like done like strictly bodybuilding? Like I want to get like jacked.
I want to say that aside from doing boring but big on 531.
Okay.
I had a bodybuilding like 5-day body part split that I did for about 9 months to a year before I found power. From like 2006 till I discovered powerlifting in 2007.
Yeah. Okay. Very similar for me. Yeah.
I have no. I at that time I just was like, I don't have the genes to be a bodybuilder, right? I don't like insertion points, and like I got really long biceps, but they don't peak. And
I still got good lats, and that's cool and useful. But I'm like, I don't. That's it, I guess.
I like it. Yeah, I built a big back by powerlifting.
Okay. So, can we say what you do for work?
Yeah.
So you're corrections officer.
Corrections officer, yeah.
In a prison, adult prison.
It's yes, adult prison, but Alaska's a unified system, so it's both jail and prison.
Okay.
So it's a mix of sentenced and unsentenced prisoners.
Yeah.
But it is an adult facility.
Okay.
And it's a mixture actually, male and female. So.
But in your job, you've had to get like hands on with people before.
Sure. Yep.
Very bouncery.
Well, yeah, it might.
A very bouncery.
It could qualify in a pinch.
Okay.
It could be a what do they call that when you're looking at a job? Alternative experience.
Yeah.
Like if you're looking for promotion, like, yeah, you ever been a bouncer? No, but I have.
Yeah.
Worked in prison.
Yep. Okay. I had another question. I just lost it. You own a gym?
I do.
Okay.
That's new.
That is new. Okay, so you own a gym, which is a very bro thing. I think I've heard enough. You want to hear what your split is? Okay. You're about 80% bro, 20% nerd.
I can see that.
Do you agree or disagree?
I don't disagree. I think 80 is pretty high, but again, what are we classifying nerd?
So
is it
because
not only do I become obsessive about like gym rats become obsessive. I know plenty of them, and they know like they're really in tune with their body, and they know like what a pump feels like.
Yeah,
like
awesome.
yeah. They're just, but they're like, I know what I need to do. I don't really care.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why it works, and I don't even care why it works. Yeah. It's just I know if I do if I curl, hammer curl style, and then just at the very top, I just rotate my elbow in and get a little bit of external rotation. They don't even know what those words are. They're just like, if I do this, I can build that peak up a little bit.
If I put my pinky up on the top.
Yeah, exactly. They don't have any idea why it works, and they don't care why it works, but they know like that's just bro. Right?
So this is why you're getting 20, because you're very studious on certain things, and the things you listed very very bro things. Podcast listen to Jocko. Theo's like a mixed bag. It's like
because he got so much out there.
He's just and like that's very neutral, and that's Most comedy podcasts would be pretty neutral. And that's just like unless you're like I listen to Andrew Schultz, like that's a bro podcast.
Yeah,
it's comedy, but it's very bro.
Yeah,
but like Jocko, the podcast isn't really like bro-ish.
Oh, Andrew Huberman, I know that just threw me. Yeah,
80-20.
Yeah.
So like Jocko is he is a bro for sure. He's a hard bro. So because of the content, I mean,
sure.
the content lends itself to like bigger thinkers.
But also at the end of the day,
the boys
just get up 4:45 in the morning. And just
get after it.
Get after it. Go roll. Do jujitsu. Yeah. Don't eat donuts. Just do it.
His like 20 rep squat workout. Once you do 20 reps at the highest weight you can, and then you do 20 more.
Yeah, that's a pro.
That's a pro.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
80-20. Yeah. That's the highest pro we've had so far. Because it's just been me and the co-host Austin.
Yeah.
And so I'm 70-30, and he's very much like 90-10. 90-10 nerd.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. You know, Huberman doesn't make me any more nerd? Or is it just because it's just more like the reason I want to listen to it is more like how I can make the mind work better to work my body to do the same thing. I don't know.
No, it's bro podcast. Andrew's a bro.
Yeah, he is for sure.
He's got the ladies on lock. He's a bro.
Yeah. The tattoos that dude is?
Very cool.
Did you see him?
Very cool tattoos. And he's jacked.
Yeah, super jacked. Did you see him when he was on? What's the guy named Cam? Cam Haynes. Did you see him do the run lift train with Cam Haynes?
No, but the fact that you brought up Cam Haynes just solidifies the bro even more. Dude,
dang it!
You can't get out of this.
Dude, they have the run lift train. You familiar with it?
Yes.
So he you carry this thing up a mountain.
Yeah.
That's one of
the things. Little running rock.
Yeah. Or run lift chute. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Sorry, Cam. I know you're watching.
He's watching.
Yeah. Then they shoot bow and arrow because that's Cam's thing, right? And then they'll train together. They'll lift weights together. And that's like the first time I saw Huberman. I knew that. I was like, I know. Bro knows.
Yeah.
You're like, I know.
Yeah.
I know you're pretty jacked. The way you talk about everything, and then you see him on a show, you're like, dang, the dude is it.
He hides under that black long sleeve shirt.
And he buttons all the way to the top.
Nerd.
So
very cool. So
it's cool. I guess that's good.
But do you agree with the sentiment that in Highland Games there are bros and nerds?
Oh yeah, and so sneaky. I don't want to say spoiler alert, but this is something you could definitely dive into with like. I can tell you they're like a strong enough following in like anime and.
I didn't touch on the anime.
And
you watch anime?
I don't.
Never have you ever? You never have.
Never have.
Watch Attack on Titan and then thank me later.
Okay.
I don't like the anime.
What does it mean that I'm like? It's almost. I think that I'm afraid of commitment.
Mm-hmm.
That have a really hard time watching TV these days. Like TV, like I mean Netflix or like whatever.
Yeah.
These shows that are on demand, I could sit and binge, but I won't sit and binge because I feel like maybe this is the Jocko part of me. Like if I start watching, I'm like, no.
What do you do in the evening? Just go to bed. After the kids go to sleep.
My normal day,
because you have a weird schedule.
Well, it's not weird anymore. Like
okay.
I used to have a week on, week off, alternating days and nights. Mine, I'm pretty stable working Monday through Thursday. I work 10 and a half hours, well, 11 hours of work, and then so I get home usually, and 50-50 whether I'll go train and then eat or if I'll eat and then train. Basically, if dinner's hot and ready when I get home, I might eat something before I go train.
Yeah.
Then I go train, whether it's lifting or throwing or both, and then come back home and I try to edit content just to stay on top of it because I mean I don't know if y'all noticed, but I'm usually like at least a week behind on putting the content out.
I think you're doing better than me and Justin combined.
Yeah,
because I'm like I'm like 3 months behind. He's like 6 weeks behind.
Yeah,
or something like that.
He played a pretty fast catch up in the last little bit, but he's been off work for the last 10 days or something like that. We're just throwing around, literally with his brother. So I try to edit something and put something together and put something out. And then like I don't know, reading like current events, news, get sucked into some portal.
Yeah.
And then I think I don't know, how much sleep do you get at night? I know you're stay-at-home dad style, but like I'm a 8-hour guy.
I'm 8 hours.
Yeah. And so if you look at my day, on a normal day, I'm 11 hours at work. Hour with commute time, maybe hour and a half to 2 hours training, and then some of that time's gonna be spent pooping and eating.
Yeah.
And then I sleep for 8 hours. I try to stay on top of that anyway, and sometimes it's 7.
Yeah.
And then of course the one-on-one connection time with your family, your wife, and all that stuff. All those really important things.
Yeah. Build the bonds.
Yeah, you're building bonds, and then I get 3 days off a week most weeks, or half of the weeks at least. I get 3 days off, but sometimes I work a little extra. But, on some of those days off, I can really, I don't have an excuse on why I won't binge watch, pick whatever current.
Bob's Burgers.
I don't know, Bob's Burgers, that sounds good then. I don't know.
I've been watching Bob's Burgers lately.
But, the crazy, Game of Thrones, I couldn't sit because I was already, by the time I really heard it, and it was, picking up all this, everybody's like, so good, it's so good, did you watch it? I'm 5 seasons behind, and I don't want to do anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. Because that seems like a lot of commitment to catch up to where you're at right now.
Yeah.
The last show I did that with was The Last Kingdom. Totally worth it.
I like the save shows where everyone's like, oh, it's super great, and I'm like, I'll wait till it's all done.
Yeah. Like
The Walking Dead. I used to watch The Walking Dead every Monday or whatever when it came out. I kind of liked it. Everyone kind of did. Kind of repetitive, and they bashed Glenn's brains in, and it made me sad. So I was like, I'll just wait till it's all over, then I'll watch it. Haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
But they keep making more. I think, if I recall, different ones that are attached to the main one. Okay. So, but someday I'll catch up on that. But I am saving it.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to spoil it yet.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be 20 years, and people are going to reference it or whatever. I'm like, guys, stop.
Yes. Not done yet.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Interesting.
I just haven't got.
Do you read books?
Occasion. Yeah. Last book I read was a Jocko book. So Extreme Ownership was the last full book I read.
Yeah, I read that one.
It's good.
I read, I don't know, Jake and the Dragons to my kid.
Okay.
But I think it's Jake.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
The book about made me cry. Oh, wow. It's just sentimental, a certain part of it. Yeah. But what's interesting, it ties into his other books for kids, for older kids, for the Way of the Warrior kid books.
Yeah.
It ties into that with the main characters Uncle Jake.
Yeah.
And Uncle Jake is referenced in the little kids' color page book.
Okay.
Yeah. It was nice.
Yeah.
He was a good writer. I think. I've read that kid's book. But.
Yeah. So I don't know. Work, train, edit videos, put the content for people.
Let's talk a little bit about today. Where are we at? What are we doing? What did we do today?
Well, today had a solid start, and then just fell apart after lunch.
Yeah. So we're at the Celt Fest Mississippi for Danny Webster's Open
class.
The Open
class. So I'll recap my performance. So
yeah.
You'll kind of dive in. You recap yours. Finished third overall. Had 2 event wins in the open format. That equated to me winning $800. You get $200 for each event win, and then the prize purse was staggered. I think with $1,000 for first, $600 for second, $400 for third, $300 for fourth, and then I think it played all the way down to fifth. So like must have been
I think it was $100.
$100 for fifth. Like basically got your prize back. And so again, won 2 events, took third place. I was holding solid. Like based on there's some people that were in here that were in the competition that had to drop out for various reasons. So coming into the day, I kind of knew who we were going to be competing against.
Yeah.
And I looked like Eric Frazier. Today was I knew his to lose, right? Like
right.
He's a really good thrower. If you don't know, Eric Frazier is
he's
former world record holder in the heavyweight for distance, and everything else he was also very good at. I mean, I don't know that he had, like I would say Stones was his weak event even back then, but back then he was still putting Stones up with the big boys.
Yeah.
He was out there. Eric came back this year after a long hiatus, and I've seen a couple of his results, and it's his to lose this year.
Yeah.
It's his. This competition will be his to lose, and then I knew it was going to be a pretty tight battle with the rest of the pros in the group, which me, you, Justin Black.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be hard to beat you in hammers. I felt like I was going to hold my own on stones. Felt like I was going to hold my own in heavyweight. Figured Justin would beat me in lightweight.
Yeah.
And then hammers, I think, between me and him. Probably a toss-up if we're both throwing well.
Do you think all that hammer practice you've been doing recently, did that help today? Granted, the ground was questionable.
I think I'm way too cerebral and get into my head too much about stupid little things like that.
Yeah.
I need to, I don't know. I've got a beautiful field I practice on, so I'm like spoiled.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So maybe I need to practice in adverse circumstances and go to like try to throw a hammer on the beach or something in sand. I don't know.
Find a gravel bit.
Yeah.
Try to kick it in
exactly.
a gravel bit.
I don't know. Because that really messed with me, and I probably left 10 feet off of each of my throws. Like I legit don't think I'm stretching it to think that I left 10 feet off of each throw. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and that would have been, it would have took me to 105 and 123, which would have been solid.
Yeah.
So at any rate, I felt like it'd be a toss-up between me and him. And then Chief has not been my year for Chief. Just not good. I don't practice it, so hey, it is what it is. And then Wob was going to be, I think I'm good 15 on almost every day. Wasn't today though. Yeah. And so first half of the day, I won both stones. I took second in heavyweight, and I took fifth. And I think that was looking back at the end of the day, like taking fifth. In a class that I should have taken second or third. Mm-hmm. Left a couple points. And then we went to lunch. I came back from lunch. We talked about hammers already. Garbage ground. Just sun-baked earth. And I couldn't get purchased with the booze. And then the sheath fell apart on the sheath. I think I went out at 24. Yeah. I'm a 28-foot, 20-pound sheath thrower regularly.
Right.
And I went out at 24, just couldn't. I didn't use my own fork, which excuses, right?
I mean,
that makes a difference. It's a good excuse.
Because, like, I love my fork. Yeah. And I like good bags and things. Mm-hmm. I'm very particular about sheath. And if I don't have my fork, I'm just going to call it a wash. I'm going to do my best, but, like, I have no hope for anything.
I don't feel like 4 feet because of my fork. And because the fork I was using wasn't bad.
It's 4 feet.
And
it's probably more.
It wasn't even a bad fork, and it wasn't a lot different than my fork. So that's like, I should have been able to pull at least 26. Didn't. And then I threw Wob 14 feet, smashed in the bar pretty good, 15 feet a couple times. I was over the bar, already had the height. So the afternoon just didn't go as well for me, and that dropped me from first to third.
Yeah.
I think that ultimately Eric was still going to get first, and he was going to surpass me. But my flubs...
It would be closer.
Yeah, second and third would have been, I think I could have edged Justin out. But he could have had a better day too. Is that right? That's just the way it is. Like I can talk about, if I would have had a better day. Well, what if you had a better day? And what if Justin had a better day? I don't know. It's what it is. So that's my recap on the day. Not bad. Came down here. They gave me $800 before I left.
It's pretty nice.
I'm happy.
Yeah. So my day was actually, I mean, it was very, I don't know, like expected. I kind of knew what I was going into because I have not trained like I should have for the last 8 weeks. I got sick coming into Albany a couple weeks ago, and like it hasn't left. And so the gym was just out, and I was like on a peaking phase leading into that. So like the weights were they were really dropping off for that, and the throws were picking up during peaking phase. And so I knew I wasn't going to set any PRs at this point. Usually I don't set PRs at the end of the season. That's beginning of the season kind of stuff. I just do really well at the beginning. And so I had some numbers in mind that I wanted to hit. And I think compared to like everyone else, we were all a little bit lower on some things. It's like I was kind of fitting into like where I was relative to the group, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And but so I did really weird in heavyweight or open Braemar. Braemar's the first one, and then open stone. I've been working on like doing like rotational technique, like shot put and whatnot. That's been a whole lot of fun to learn, but I have neglected my MSA like really bad, and so I didn't know if I should do that in this games or should I do rotational. So I started like I had one warm up like rotational, and like I fucking crushed it. I was like, unfortunately, that's probably the good one.
Yeah.
And then I tried it about my first throw, and it went like, I don't know, 36 feet. And I was like, well, we're not going to do that again. We're going to MSA this thing and try not to foul.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it went fine. Like normally I either throw like two kind of stones, right? It's a 43-foot stone or a 47.
Yeah.
And there's really not much in between. It's one of those two. And I was like 42.9 or something like that. So I was pretty close to that 43. And I was like, yeah, that's about right. And then like what weights were not my favorite. I'm very finicky. Like I need to like I don't know talk to someone about this. But like if it's not like a ring handle or if it's a ring handle not a D handle, I'm like well these aren't going far and like already like I'm mentally I'm out of it.
Checked out.
Yeah, and if it's like
you gave yourself an out.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of being like you know what, good.
Yeah. Instead of good. Yeah.
Oh, it's a ring handle and I like D handles better? Good.
More opportunity to show what I could do.
Yeah. Show my diversity.
Yeah. Yeah. And like if I see like a hammer like a big like ball head on it, I'm like, great. Like okay, I'm done now.
Yeah.
Or like a bad sheath bag or whatever.
I am being victimized.
Yes, yes. So like I'm like, weights are done and it kind of showed how I couldn't mentally hold it together.
Yeah.
The hammers, I kind of knew going in like I was pretty safe on hammers, and won both of those, so yay for that. And then what else? Caber was actually.
Oh yeah, I didn't talk about Caber. Caber. Now
we threw a qualifying, or like a kind of like a one. Then we got 2 attempts on a harder one, and they were good. They were really good sticks. I botched the first one because I pulled so early. And
you talking about the qualifying caber?
No,
the bigger caber.
Yeah, the challenge caber.
Yeah,
or the competition caber, whatever the term is. But I got a bad habit of just pulling it early and just pulling as hard as I can, and it goes sky high. It does nothing, and I'm like, all right, I'll just wait more.
Yeah,
and then I feel like that's wrong, but it's right.
Yeah.
And I ended up hitting at 9 o'clock, which I don't think is a real score, but I was told it broke 90 and fell over, so that counts. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. We could ice it up and call it a 905. Like it was a legit. You made the throw. Like I was watching. Granted, it wasn't a side judge,
right?
But I've seen ones that pfeiffer over and go through. Yours definitely went up and fell.
Yeah,
I'd say like 930.
I just like shrugged my shoulders. I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
It was like,
but like, that's
just a way of saying I barely got it. You know?
Yeah, it's a weak point for me for sure. Caber is.
Yeah, yeah. He said that caber today. He was like, oh, that's definitely a pro caber. It didn't.
I've had harder pro cabers.
Feel like a pro caber.
Yeah, I've had tougher pro cabers.
I mean, I'm not gonna say I was like I'm not elite or anything, but I went 11:30 12:30 or something like that, or 11:30 and 1.
Right.
And I was really going into it. I thought we were going to do that one 3 times as well, but we didn't. Anyway, and I just like, it wasn't hard.
Yeah.
It was a little wobbly. I'd say that.
Yeah, and then once you stopped it, it stopped.
It
It wasn't like wet, It didn't just like shake you the entire time.
Yeah.
So yeah, then we moved to Sheaf, and Sheaf was pretty tight. The bag, it was a new bag, and what do they call it, tea bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd never seen those before.
It was a new bag, and it wasn't that bad.
Exactly.
Like, most of the time, new bags are like this
I was
garbage. Like,
dreading.
can you run this over with the truck a few times before
like,
the games or something? But no, this was
so
my good excuse.
That was I was like, I don't want to throw a new bag. Is there something else? And then I kind of stuck into it. Like I can stab this thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not tight. It's like reasonable, and it's very much 20 pounds.
Yeah.
And so shout out to, I can't remember the guy's name who makes the tea bags, but it's really clean. It's a clean bag.
Yeah.
Very nice. I like
good
it.
edges, good corner.
Yeah.
Like it's got hard. It's not like a pillow. It's not made of like a worn out pillow.
Yeah. It's very similar to how I make my bags, but just so much nicer.
Yeah.
I was like, so that's very cool. And I got like 28, which is frustrating because I've gone 28 a bunch this year, and it's just 30 is laughing at me.
Yeah.
But then Wob did do good in Wob, but
I said you didn't do good, but like you hit 14, right?
No, I hit 13. So that's what was frustrating. Is I'm like, I'm trying to make 14 my bottom. Like as a professional, 14 is your bottom.
Yeah, and I had a whole in one of my videos I said that like you need to
14 is the bottom.
Gotta make that.
That's your opening height, and I've been having trouble with it, and I think mostly because like I've just been out of the gym. I've been really. I'm losing strength by the day.
I mean, that's like what I talked about. Like when I threw 16 feet wob the preseason before that, I deadlifted 665 for 2. But that's not preseason, but like my off season.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, that's not probably a coincidence.
Yeah. Early season this year, like I was knocking the door at 15. Like it was landing on top, rolling out front, things like that. Yeah, I never got it to click right, and like now we're kind of on the back end of that. We're like, well, we'll ramp back up next year and we'll get it. But it was, I had a pretty good day. I got 4th overall, so that was pretty sweet. Walked away $700. So
solid.
Can't argue with that.
No, can't be mad at that at all. I mean, that's good money overall. The whole Webster Open thing, you get some good money.
It's a good system, and I think it gets a lot of. It's doing something that I wish that I had like when I was like coming up in the amateurs.
Sure.
Like there were kind of like things like this, but nothing that really paid out well. And it paid out well and got me to throw with the better people.
Yeah.
Right. So you get stuck regionally, and you're like I need to throw with the big dogs. Like I want to see what this is like. I want to hear what they have to say. Yeah.
A little bit of a conversation with a couple people, like kind of filling this out amongst like the pro group. And hey, what do you think about this? This is my second, and also probably your second open format game of the season, right? And like, where does it fall in? We can say all day long that hey, that's how they do it in Scotland, but that's their system.
Yeah.
People from Scotland never leave Scotland.
That's true.
That's the system they have, and they're making it work within their system.
Yeah.
We already have a system for getting people money for being good at hiding games.
Yeah.
And I don't think that anybody is interested in replacing that system.
No.
At least there's not going to be enough people. Like, I don't want to replace that system. I don't. But do I see where this might fit in our system? I kind of see it. I'm not the expert, and I'm not going to be the authority. Like, hey, this is where we're going to do it. But I think it's a great it's one of those festivals that doesn't have a lot of budget for the athletics. I think that's where you put it in.
Yeah.
And if you can get people to sign up for that, like kind of replace your Super A classes, I guess.
Yeah.
If you can replace Super A classes,
it doesn't have to have like a purse of like $4,500. Even like like a lot of smaller games
hard to do.
Yeah, a lot of smaller games can do this with less money.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't have to walk away with $2,200.
You get your entry fee
It'd be
back.
sick, but
you got your entry fee back in the last place position, which is kind of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Or last paying position.
Yeah.
And then you get everything else is cherry on top, right? Are you ever going to be able to pay the guy who traveled from Alaska that had,
brought his whole family with him.
8. Well, yeah, not even that. So like my plane tickets, rental car, $800 for me. It takes a lot to do that. But are you going to pull you? They're going to drive 12 hours to come here.
Yeah.
Tank of gas and a night in a hotel. Like you could do that. Probably maybe 2 nights in a hotel to get a chance at winning between $400 and $2,000 depending.
Yeah.
Like that, it's pretty cool. Might drag in some strongmen. Might drag in some, some mid-level track and field thrillers.
I think a big thing too with that is like consistency. It's got to be there year after year because the strongmen that come out, like they're not going to win the money day one. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe if they've thrown wild before for as a strongman event, they might get that $200 or $150 or whatever they decide.
Yeah.
But like they're going to practice a little bit. We're going to come back next year, and that money's still going to be there because we're doing it consistently. Well, there's a lot of ADs out there, and this is not a knock on them. They're always trying to do a new thing and to like make things like new and fresh and things like that. Yeah. But sometimes consistency is really good.
That is the important part.
And being an AD is super difficult because sometimes festivals are like, I guess we don't really want you here anymore for no real particular reason.
Yeah.
But that stuff happens.
Portland?
Yeah. It's not going to show me my fucking thing. Fuck it.
Man.
How much more do you got on this?
That's just a minutes.
Okay, yeah.
And so just on that, on the other point that I would have, again, if you're like, hey, Danny Webster comes and says, I can't do this anymore, like I'm retiring, right? Mm-hmm. And somebody else is going to take over. And you put it in my lap. How would I change how we've done the two? Really small sample size.
Right.
What I've seen twice now is a person who was better at Highland games get paid less money.
Yeah.
And I don't think I like that. I don't think I want to reward specialists. I want to entice specialists to come in, broaden their horizons, because my hope isn't that they come in and throw a stone real far to get a field record. My hope is that they throw and they enjoy the sport, and now we're adding better athletes to it. Like if Nick Ponzio takes this on full time, like he's a phenomenal athlete. Maybe not full time yet, but right now, just if he even did it as an offseason, he's a phenomenal athlete who I think could be very, very good. Well, obviously, he's very good at stones already.
Yeah.
We get guys like him, and we get, we already pulled a Colin Dunbar from Olympic trials.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you checked, Colin Dunbar, one of the best throwers in America. Right?
That's right.
One of the best throwers in the world. Zechariah Whittington, pulled him from Olympic trials. We get guys like that more often. Mm-hmm. I think it improves it brings the sport up as a whole. Yeah. And as a kind of a Highland Games fan, as well as an athlete, I like that.
Yeah.
But it sucks to see. I would just say, to keep it short, we take away a little bit of money for winning an event, and we put that back into the overall purse. Okay. Whether it is to pay the people that we already paid a little bit more, or increase the payout. If 2/3 if we're going to have a class capped at 15, 10 people get money.
Yeah. So
that's not bad.
My thought would be is have a payout for each placement all the way down on every event, so everyone can walk away with something. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's going to cover your hotel. Maybe you're walking home with money, like you've made a profit on this one, and so and that's at the top end and the low end. But like the bottom guy, like he'll make $15 per event if he got the bottom on every single thing.
Yeah. Okay.
And then he kind of is like, well, I mean, what? Man, I guess it doesn't really make much sense.
It spreads it really thin.
It doesn't make. Well, it depends. I mean, but if you're going all the way down to 15, maybe not. But top 8,
yeah,
like that's pretty good. Like you're above like the middle, right? Mm-hmm. So,
yeah,
well, but there's a lot of ways to break out the payment, and
sure,
and there are other sports who have done like payouts and like have like event wins and like overall wins to the point where one guy can't earn more.
The champion.
Yeah, you can't earn more than the person winning.
Because like in Maine, Glenn earned more than Matt.
Yep.
Matt got first, Glenn got second. And we all look at that like, I know enough to know. Glenn's just not good at Sheaf.
Yeah.
If Glenn gets 3rd place at Sheaf, he wins the overall.
Does it once a year.
Yeah. So that's probably a poor example because that's ultimately that's what happened. But Glenn is first or second in almost everything else, right? So, the chief really held him back, hurt him on overall points. So I hate to see that though. I still hate to see that your champion just doesn't have the champion's purse.
Right.
And so like, how could we do that a little bit different? And I think paying the overall either a little bit more or paying more athletes, similar to what you're talking about, right? The top 2/3 of athletes get money.
Yeah.
Even if it's like the last couple get like basically
or
your entry fee.
They'll earn the entry fee back.
Yeah, they'll get that back. And then if you win an event, you get $100. That's still nothing to sneeze at.
Right.
So, I think that's how I would change it.
Yeah.
And again, we're not going to see likely 4,000 plus for every 3 classes got 4,000 plus.
Yeah.
And so how is that going to look in the future?
It's very cool.
If you're asked all of a sudden, like your sponsors this next year, like, times are a little tough, and we're only going to get this much. What do you do?
Yeah.
You pay everybody lower and still keep 3 classes, or you drop one of those classes, or I don't know.
Right.
I don't know the answer to that. Or you're just a smaller games that's all you can muster up was $2,000 to split amongst whatever you decide to do it.
It's a very cool system. And I think
But
in the U.S. I think we have room in a lot of games if they want to kind of make that happen.
Yeah.
And we'll see. I think the 2 that we've been to are the only 2 that's been doing it this year, and I thought they were great.
I thought so too. I walked away with money on both of them.
Yeah.
And with happy a decent amount of money. It was more, not more. It wasn't like a participation trophy. It was It was a decent amount of money. Paid for offset the cost of my trip by quite a bit.
Yeah, and it's also one of those things. Like, it depends on who shows up. A guy who normally wouldn't make any money at games can walk away with something. Yeah. And with more games that are doing a similar thing.
I think that's the only the negative talk a little bit, right? Especially with how it's currently structured. Because before this whole thing started, who was supposed to be here? I can think four names that are kind of big time names,
right?
That would have come in, made a splash, changed the point structure.
Yeah.
Obviously Vlad. Obviously Kyle Lilly. Garrett Blatnick. Back this up fast. Garrett Blatnick. Scott Farr.
Yeah.
Not knowing where any of those guys in particular are at this point in time, all 4 of those guys, solid contenders for winning events and changing up what the overall rankings look like. Mm. And so,
but based on the list, that I was like, there's a good chance I'm walking with nothing.
Yeah,
and I was okay with that because I want to be with the best.
And that's how I agree. But sometimes it's the bottom line that is the difference. So
sure,
I show up to it, man. What if the same people that went to Pleasanton showed up at this? Mm. Well, I'm walking away with no money.
Yeah,
Pleasanton guarantees me money. They offset my travel.
You can't do
so
this.
You
can't do that too often.
There's the system I'm talking about that's already in place to get the people who the athletic directors want to be the pros to be the pros. It already exists and it's been successful for quite a while in this country, and so it definitely can't replace that. But I think like I said, there's a place for it in probably those intermediate-sized games, and like Mississippi Celt Fest by my vantage point on the field today, like this is an intermediate-sized festival. Like it's not huge, but it's not in the town square three clan teams. Homer, Alaska is what I think of when I think of small games. Did you go to that?
No.
Small.
I left the week like
3 clan tents.
Yeah.
A couple of food vendors.
Very, very intimate field.
Yeah. Great field. Great, fantastic field.
Looks cool.
Awesome.
It
looks cool. Yeah. It's all right. Moose trying to trample people.
Yeah.
Super cool games. Great. Put on by great people. But small.
Yes.
So games like that, if they did something like open and we're able to raise $700-800 to do that, that's going to be a lot of people walking away with $50.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, pay for your trip.
Sure.
I think that's what a lot of people just kind of want, especially in this economy.
Take a tank of gas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we're coming up on time.
Yeah. The batteries.
Yeah, the phone battery's dying, so I had to get up and fix that a couple times. So we're running on fumes. That's episode 2. Danny Autrey, professional extraordinaire. Thanks for watching. As always, throw far. God bless.